Okay, we'll start now. Uh, okay, so we were in that phase of Vivekachudhamani where each of the constituents of this body mind sense complex of a person, right, what we take ourselves to be, is taken up for analysis, and each of these is explained as to what it constitutes of and why it does not befit to be that Pratyagatma which is ever existent, that Atma which never undergoes any change, which cannot be shrinked, which cannot be killed, nothing can be done to it. That is the basis, Adhisthana, on which everything survives. That Adhisthana cannot undergo any change whatsoever. It is full already, it always remains full even if Jagat comes out of it. This is what we understand from even from our mantra. When we conclude the class, we always have this Purnamadah Purnamidam. Purnamadah Purnamidam is that Tattva only. Purnamadaha, that cause of this Jagat, of everything what is here, is Purnam. It is complete. It's fullness only. And out of that fullness only, this Jagat comes. Purnat Purnam Udachyate. And even if Jagat comes out of it, Purnam does not become Purnam minus Jagat. It doesn't become that way. Purnam always remains Purnam because Jagat is also that only. So this is how Vedas presents that ultimate cause, that ultimate Brahman, whatever name we call it, that way, and it methodically makes us understand that the one who is inquiring, he is that Jiva with all these constituents and he also has this element of fullness in him. See, the word in has to be used because mind only understands that. For example, if coffee is there, it is there outside, it's finally in consciousness only. If a person is to be told that boss, you are everywhere, coffee is also there on the table, which is in you only, so you don't have to drink it. If you say this, mind will not accept. Mind will be happy only when the coffee goes inside within this biological frame where we take ourselves to be. For a person to understand that coffee is within himself, he can understand this cognitively. When he goes through this systematic inquiry, he can make a statement that not only this coffee, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahmasi, all that is here is Brahman only. Okay, now who is Brahman? Aham Brahmasmi. Sarvam Khalvidam, Sarvam Khalu means all these things that is here. Idam, here. Everything that is here is Brahman only. That's the final understanding. Okay, then what is much more final than that? That is more important. That Aikya is very important. Aham Brahmasmi, I am that. So that is very important actually. So in that sense, coffee is in me. That's fine. That is Advaita Bhava, wherein you don't see any difference between what is in front of you and yourself. In this equation, what is very important is to know the nature of oneself. To know the nature of oneself is very important. So where Shastra is equating that Jagat Karanam Brahman with this Jiva, from like compared to Parama, how Jiva is equated to Parama. So Jiva is equated to Parama because Jiva is presented in a particular way. In a particular way means in its true way, other than the one which is a mistaken way. Today, whatever we normally start with is the feeling, the sense that this Jiva is Alpaha. I am Alpaha, Alpoham is the starting point. I am limited being. I can lift 150 kgs only. My neighbor or my friend can lift 200 kgs. Already I have a comparison. And there is this world champion who can lift 500 kgs. So already there is a comparison. So from the sense of potence, there is already a difference. And we have all this maths Olympiad these days. So if we all compete in that, one may be getting 30%. So the moment you see someone getting 50%, you already have a comparison. Oh, there is someone better than me. There is another benchmark. If someone is scoring 99, then again you have a benchmark. So the sense of alpoham presents itself in life many a times. It's very rare that one does not feel so. Even if you take the example of Virat Kohli, for example, he might be quite successful in cricket and he may be also successful in personal life. But when it comes to mathematics specifically, I think I took the right example of Math Olympiad. He has said in many interviews that he wanted to get out of studies only because of mathematics. he dreaded mathematics like anything actually. That's what he said also, I think, in many interviews. Now, if he feels that he is small because he cannot perform in mathematics or his intelligence does not either motivate him to learn mathematics, or even if he's motivated, he really doesn't get those concepts. So those subtle concepts he finds it very difficult. Cross concepts he is happy with. Subtle concepts he finds it very difficult. So he has to compare himself. So he will say that whenever he finds someone who's great in mathematics, not even great, I mean he's very good in mathematics, normal, because he's probably at 30-40% level. Someone who's at 70% level also, for him that gentleman will be like God. Because he's definitely of a different level. Something which I cannot do, he's able to do. So even if it is Virat Kohli, in some other area other than his own specialization, there will be a comparison. Alpatva will manifest. This keeps manifesting. Even, okay, I can't take the example of Modi ji because he is a sannyasi, so he will not have this problem actually. But let's take the example of Trump. So, Donald Trump. So, he is US president. He can be happy with it. But he's not happy with that. You can see what he's doing now. So, he wants fame. He wants to broker peace amongst countries because he just wants to have that fame. He wants to be known as one guy who did everything for the world. Maybe for eternity. I don't know. This guy would not be there by that time. But still, he wants that fame to be there for a longer time. So, that's what it looks. But behind that, probably there are also some other motives in terms of his own personal wealth to be increased for his companies. Maybe there are many things which is going on. So he still feels he's small and he has to become big, wealthier as well, because it was mentioned that there were some deals with Pakistan which helped his son's business as well. So from a wealth perspective, he still feels he is small and he is insecure. And from fame perspective also, he feels he is quite small. For us, the president of US is a great guy. He is looked upon, and by everyone, every statement of his is valued. This is how we take it. I mean, being 12 hours or 11 hours away from that geography, we feel that. And we always, in most of us, we go and check what the US president has said. This is the regard we give for that position. But having acquired that position, he still feels he has to do something more to get fame. So, from a fame perspective, he feels he's still not there. So, to anyone for that matter, this alpatva, alpoham, alpaha aham, I am small, this feeling will always manifest, and it is always there. I mean, it 100%. I mean, you just throw, a ball on anyone for that matter. Ask that person, do you feel you are that Purnaha? Not at all. Okay. If they happen to be one of the Vedanta students, that's a different thing altogether. And because they would have been successful in knowing themselves. But if you just throw the ball random to anyone in the crowd, ask them this question, do you feel you are that omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent person? The answer will be a very clear no. Because that person will say, amongst this crowd, I am one of the speck here, and the ball happened to come to me. It's okay. It's good that the ball came to me, so I could come to limelight for answering this question. But other than this limelight, I don't have any other light. This is what that person will feel. I heard one lecture of Swami Paramarthananda ji, who was the student of Swami Dayananda Saraswati. He was talking about Brahma Sutras. So in that Brahma Sutras, when he was talking, he was addressing a set of Vedanta students only. He was saying that, many a times we find it very difficult to believe what Shastra says. Shastra is saying, I am all pervading. And he jokingly says that, but my feeling is that I am not even hall pervading, not even pervading this hall where we are in now. Because in this hall itself, I am right at the stage, only one point, and in that stage also of 10 square meters, I am hardly in this 1.5 square meter, 1 square feet where I am sitting. So this is the only place I am able to occupy, not even this entire stage, forget the hall. So he was mentioning, jokingly that I am not even hall pervading, but Shastra says I am all pervading. So this Jivatva always goes with this identity of oneself being within this boundary of body and flesh, everything. And that automatically gives this sense of Alpoham. And Shastra is now trying to take the wind out of this by defining who is this Aham. This Aham part it is taking fine. First you understand yourself, who you are. Systematically I will explain you. Understand this first and derive at yourself or arrive at yourself first. Yourself, your nature. And of course our Shastra is supplementing that actually. It is giving certain ideas. Oh, this is what you are. It gives that. The moment we arrive at that's a very real good point actually. The moment you arrive at that, leaving out the things which you are not, 99% job is already done there. Because after that only one question remains is that, okay, if I am this, then where is that ultimate thing? Because this itself seems to be that ultimate. That's where the joining statement comes. That is the bridging statement or Aikya Vakya, Mahavakya. That is Tattvamasi. Simple. Now that you understood, you are there everywhere. You cannot be destroyed. You can never undergo a change. It is all here. Yes, that is what was said for Brahman as well. Consider yourself to be that. Know yourself to be that. So that part what was presented as a postulate earlier, which was the goal to understand who that is basically, is gone, replaced by Jiva. So Jiva replaces Parama in that Aikya Vakya. So coming back to what we are doing, we are in that phase of Shastra's guidance where Shastra is making us understand who we are, what is our true nature. And if it has to make us understand what our true nature is, it has to also point out where we are committing mistakes in terms of our identification. And wherever we are identifying wrongly, that is what it has to point out. And it points out those and dispels them. So, as and when we dispel each of these layers, the kosha, you can call it layers. So, we have taken this Pancha Kosha model, and in this Pancha Kosha model, it is taking up each kosha, explaining what that kosha is all about, and immediately in the next verse, it dispels, saying, okay, this is fraught with these kind of defects. That's the reason this can never be that Parama, the ultimate you, which the Shastra is going to talk about. It can never be that Atma. So in the sense of this inquiry on the self side of it, Atma is the name presented. You can say Atma is that which is minus this ignorance. Atma plus ignorance is Jiva. Atma, when he is wrongly taking himself to be stuck in this body, that person is Jiva. So Jiva is basically plus ignorance. Atma is minus ignorance. So basically from Jivatva to go towards the position or the status of Atma, us being pure Atma as an identification, is the immediate job which is being done now. So each of these kosha is presented, explained, and then nullified, saying how this cannot be that Pratyak Atma. It doesn't fit to be that Atma, and it gives certain ideas. So first one which was taken was Annamaya. Annamaya was presented saying, okay, this entire thing comes out of Anna, which is earth, food from earth, and it grows out of the same thing, and without food it decays. So I was observing a kind of 24 hours fast yesterday. I gave it up after 20 hours. I could understand Annamaya Kosha very well yesterday. So after 20th hour, I thought, no, let me take, maybe after 22nd hour perhaps, I thought, no, let me take some fruits or whatever it is, something to have. So Annamaya is very clear. Fast, you will understand what Annamaya is. And then Annamaya was presented and nullified with the reason that if food doesn't go there, it's gone. So what kind of permanence it can have? Atma is that which always exists. This thing, if food doesn't come itself, does not exist. So you can understand with the kind of state of affairs we have. Many a times supply chain can go bad. You can store food for some time. Many a times either you can have war or you can have COVID, due to which sometimes even supply chain may not be there. Food may not reach to a person. It may not be available. So then the gross body has to suffer. So it's fraught with such kind of limitations. It can never be that Pratyagatma, because this dies even if food is not given to it. So that was the limitation presented and differentiated from Atma. Then Annamaya, Pranamaya was taken next. So Pranamaya was presented as to what it is, first of all, and then it was nullified with one of the major differences, that this Pranamaya, though so powerful, it pervades the entire body, it's very powerful. For all the power in the body, Pranamaya is responsible. However, it was made tuchha by pointing out one thing, that it has no sense of what is me and what are others. Who are others? What is mine and what are others? So this particular thing, it doesn't even understand, because it is Jada. So it can't even understand that actually. So the cognitive ability is not there. It keeps on doing its function, but it has no ichha. For example, if in a fusion reaction, if there are certain particles, they are coming together in a fusion reaction, they happen because of the nature, not based on any intent. They're just happening. That is how they happen. That's how it works actually. It doesn't say that fine, each, for example, there are two molecules, rather two atoms which want to fuse, and they don't do a sankalpa saying, okay, fine, let this go well, and like a marriage, let this fusion be blessed. They don't have that sense actually to even ask for any blessing. So that was presented as the differentiating factor between Atma and Pranamaya Kosha. Then Manomaya Kosha was taken. Manomaya was presented, explained as to what Manomaya Kosha consists of, and then it was differentiated and nullified to be of the status of that Atma, by pointing out that it has a beginning and an end. Adyantakatvat. Adi Antakatvat. He. So Hyadyantakatvat. So it was mentioned that way, that it has a beginning and it has an end. And that's not the nature of Atma. Atma is beginningless, endless. So that factor was used as the distinguishing factor, and it was dismissed to be that Pratyagatma. So three koshas were presented, explained and nullified to be occupying that status of Atma. So this is what we saw until now. Now the fourth kosha is taken. That's what we want to see. Fourth kosha is being explained first. Buddhihi buddhindriyehi sardham savrittihi kartruvilakshanaha vijnanamaya koshaha syat pumsaha samsara karanam. I will read the direct meaning from the book itself. The buddhi, with its thought modifications and the organs of perception is the Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is of the nature of the doer and the cause of samsara for person. So, from mind onwards, the cognitive ability is fit actually. So, at mind level itself, the cognitive ability starts, and mind was presented with a particular attribute of basically doubting as well as sadness, dukkhatmakatvat. So dukkhatmakatvat and vishayatva hetoho, it was mentioned actually. Dukkhatmakatvat was one of the main ingredients used there to point out its limitation, right? So dukkhatmakatvat was mentioned there. That is not mentioned in Vijnanamaya Kosha. See, both these are cognitive things, mind as well as Vijnanamaya. As I mentioned earlier, it's all one thing. But to understand this, you need in granular form. That's why it is being presented. The shades of it are presented by differentiating one from the other. So mind and intellect, they are very, very close. And there is a small differentiation being made here. Mind is of the sense of doubting. Mind has the issue to be sad most of the times. It is affected by sadness most of the times. Intellect is buddhi. So we mentioned this earlier also, that in us we have this yardstick of what is right and wrong. Everyone has this yardstick. No one needs to be taught about this. And that's why Swamiji keeps saying, we don't need a religious book to teach someone moral values. Everyone knows moral values by birth. So he uses this example of mosquito. A mosquito knows the value of injuring, pain and injury. How? It always goes and bites a person at a place where his hands cannot reach, because it understands that this guy will hurt. So it understands that there is something called hurt because it gets hurt and it doesn't want to get hurt. Same thing with anyone for that matter. No one or no animal wants to be the menu on someone else's dinner table. No one. None of this animal. Ask a question. Do you want to be the dinner, the menu on this table? You say no. No way. So that's the way it works. So this idea of injury, that yes, we are affected by any injury, and automatically the second part is that when I injure another person, he is going to have the same feeling. This is also present there in buddhi. It is always there. So Swamiji says, even when a mosquito knows this, do you think that the other evolved beings do not know these values? They do know these values. They have these values very clearly pronounced in their buddhi. The only choice is whether you use buddhi during the transactions, during decision making or not. That's the only thing. Of course, the choice is more available in human beings. But others also know that there is something called pain, because they understand pain. They don't want to get injured. They understand what pain is. So basically that they know that there is something called pain. So similarly, Swamiji also gives another good example, that a thief, howsoever of low values he may be, he values truth. How? When he breaks open into someone's house and he finds the owner, first thing he will tell them, tell me the truth. Where have you kept the key to this vault? Tell me the truth. He wants truth there actually. He knows the value of truth. So everyone has this value of what is right and wrong, and this right and wrong is embedded in buddhi. So Vijnanamaya, that is how you differentiate it from Manomaya. Manomaya is more a bhokta. Vijnanamaya, to some extent you can say, is karta. So the kartritvam comes from there. And Vijnanamaya is the one which has this benchmark of what is right, wrong. It keeps on understanding, this is how something should go, this is how something should not go. But in what way then it suffers a limitation? It suffers a limitation because it takes this body to be an entity different from the source. That's where it has this problem. This ignorance starts from there. So it is more pronounced from there on, you can say. So it is because of this Vijnanamaya, where you have this kartrutva, that we still feel that we are stuck in this body, and that's where this vaccination of Vedanta has to work. It has to go and work at that level only. Manomaya and Vijnanamaya. This is where the vaccination has to work. Well, Anandamaya, it is not available for vaccination also. Only Manomaya and Vijnanamaya, these two are available for vaccination. And this is where, somewhere here only, this ignorance is located. And that ignorance only makes it feel different from the ultimate. So Vedanta has to go operate only there. So that's a very important point one has to understand. The problem is located here actually. So Vijnanamaya is presented as that, which is made of these thought modifications, and this is with all the sense organs actually, and it is which is of the nature of the doer and the cause of samsara for the person. So the kartrutvam, the moment it comes, automatically samsara is there. So that's how it works. So this is presented as to what it is, and now Shastra takes up the second responsibility, second task of saying why this does not befit to be this Pratyagatma, which is what we have to arrive at. So I'll read the verse. Anuvrajat chit pratibimba shaktihi vijnana sanyah prakritir vikaraha jnana kriyavan ahamitya jashram dehendriyadishu abhimanyate brusham. So I'll read from this itself, the translation. This kosha, known as Vijnana, has the power of illuminating due to the reflected consciousness. Very important. Reflected consciousness, which has entered it. It is a modified form of Prakriti, having the function of knowledge and action, and always identifies totally with the body, sense organs, etc. as I. So I think we already discussed this. So basically, this consciousness, which is total, that kind of gets associated with this growing body, and with its identification with this body, it forgets its original swarupa of being everything. So one example which I got was someone who can be swayed actually, by what's happening in front of you. If you see Mahabharata, when they started with that game of dice, I think it was not expected that they will be keeping that kind of high stakes in that. At the beginning, I don't think that was the expectation. But when Dharmaraja went into this game, he got swayed during the game, and as he was losing at every level, he was taking higher. He was keeping higher stakes, and his hope was to win. So this is what he was doing. And he was completely forgetting his responsibility as a person who should be actually, getting back his kingdom or whatever it is. So he was supposed to do certain things, and he was totally out of those things. So he was keeping on staking without understanding the implication. So it's possible always that, when a person gets involved, entangled into engrossed into certain things, he can forget his original self and original responsibilities itself. It's a simple example I'm giving. One more example can be, in contemporary example can be that a person who's well known for his stability, whatever, and a good position, gets into a simple game, a table tennis, carom, whatever, with another person. Normally, many of those who get into these games, they get into this so seriously that they want to win. They don't want to be defeated at all. This is the idea normally they have. In those situations, they can just forget about their original status, and they can completely behave 180 degree different from their original status. They might be prime minister, they can be, a sant, anything for that matter. Normally with sant they should not be, but I'm just giving an example. So they might be of a different status, and in the role which they have assumed, when they are playing that role, to some extent, that restraint has to be there in terms of controlling one's emotions. Up to some level at least it has to be there. If that crosses the line, one will have a doubt, oh, is he the same person? That doubt will come. So in this case, what's happening? Vijnanamaya, though it is basically an offshoot from Parama. See, why we should use the word offshoot? It is not offshoot, it is Parama only. We have to use the name offshoot or a part. Somewhere Swamiji also would have written. It is a part of that only, reflecting in this body. So part why we need to use? Because mind cannot understand things without this idea of space and time and size. So to mind, even when we say you are that Parama, you are that fullness, you should still use the word saying no, Parama only is there available as a part in this Vijnanamaya, and that is what is shining here actually. So the part word has to be used. So that's only because mind only understands it that way. Otherwise there is nothing called part. This is the reason to undo all these papas in terms of using these words. Finally, Purnamada Purnamidam is chanted. At least I am relating it this way. By saying Purnamada Purnamidam, all the limitations of words which were there even during our normal sessions, in any language for that matter, because that ultimate can never be contained in words, and the attempt is to convey it in words, this itself has a problem. So this problem is kind of resolved when we chant Purnamada Purnamidam. That ultimate cause is Purna. Purnamidam. What you see as idam, this jagat, or even body, mind, sense complex, is also Purna, Purnam idam, Purnat, Purnam udachyate. Purnat he, only from this Purnam comes, udachyate. From this only. This cannot have another jurisdiction from where the clay was brought and then this earth was made. No. From this Purna only, even if clay is appearing to be clay, it has come only from this Purna. Purnat Purnam udachyate. Purnasya Purnam Adaya. This having come from this, what is left there is Purna only, not Apurna. Because totality is always taken together. So, many a times, this small, this reflection, all this word what we use now, is for a sadhaka, for him to appreciate, for his mind to appreciate the concept. None of these words are eternal. Only that self is eternal. Everything else will be only smaller because they are all atoms. Okay. So, Shastra is giving the idea of Vijnanamaya in whatever words it's possible, and then it is also dispelling it, saying that no, it cannot have the status of Atma because this has this sense of being limited in this particular skin. The boundary, it has drawn a boundary up to the skin. This is where the problem is. Though it is that ultimate consciousness, that is what is activating this, it is still feeling it is limited. This is where the problem is. So it points out that actually. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So after introducing it, it is also dispelling it, saying that due to this limitation, this cannot be equated to that Atma. So this way, Vijnanamaya Kosha is also identified and negated. So far, 4 koshas have been taken up. Now you just close your eyes and starting from Vijnanamaya. So at the start Vijnanamaya, now it is already explained that this is the one which identifies with this body. So that identification, even if it is wrong, is very much pronounced. So that everyone can take actually. Giving up the wrong identification is the problem, but having the wrong identification is already there as a default. So as you close your eyes, you are very clear that anything up to the extension of your skin is yourself. This is very, very clear. So in that idea, just think of everything that is material here, that is Annamaya. And that Annamaya is sustained out of the food which goes through our mouth or whatever veins or whatever you call it when it is given from outside through an IV. When earth enters into us, That's the only way this can sustain. That's the only way. If that is the way, if the input is stopped, then this body stops growing. And somewhere it stops even, it dies. Simple. Vinashyati tad vihinaha. Very clearly, it dies without that food. So just understand that. So everything that you feel as a mass available in you is gone, is given up, is not you. This is what Shastra is saying. So mentally just remove that to be yourself. Then the good question can be, when I have removed that, then where is the inquirer? Luckily, we can still postulate and we can still imagine an inquiry, continue inquiry, because that Annamaya is figuratively given up, cognitively given up, not actually given up. Otherwise, no one will come to Vedanta class. Huh? If at all, each one has to be told that now you live that particular Annamaya and tad vihinaha, vinashyati tad vihinaha, experience that and come to the next class. No one will be available. So it says that without that food, gross body dies. Now we can't say, no, let me do one thing, I will not eat food. I will let the gross body die, and to the next Vedanta class, I will go only with Pranamaya onwards. That doesn't help, that doesn't work actually. I wish it was possible, but unfortunately it is so integrated, it doesn't work that way. So, sitting, imagine that whatever is material matter here, everything that is from the periodic table, which has gone into us from outside to inside. Again, outside to inside is a word presented for our understanding. There is nothing outside, nothing inside. Everything is only one thing. Okay. So, this is formed of earth. Earth, when stopped being injected into this system, it stops. So, Annamaya gone. Now, Pranamaya. We breathe, and this 1/5 of air is oxygen. And if that pranavayu doesn't go inside, we will not be there. It's very clear. And especially when I think SARS came in or COVID came in, everyone understood the value of respiration. So they had to be given oxygen from outside because it could not go by itself. So they had to supplement from outside. When those oxygen cylinders were not available, people had to die. Simple as this. So it's a simple thing of pranavayu, you can say. Apart from that, we have many more things in pranavaya. Like as I mentioned, pranaya swaha, apanaya swaha, vyanaya swaha, udanaya swaha, samanaya swaha, brahmani swaha. So there are so many different physiological functions that happen inside. They have been also explained by Shastra. All this is again a subtle material from outside. Food was a gross material, so we could imagine that way. And air is more a subtle material. It is unseen, but it is there. It is felt and it has its own function. It is very clearly understood by us even from science. So Pranamaya was also presented as something which does all these functions. At the same time, it is also something which cannot cognitively understand, this is me, this is mine, all this it cannot do. It is jada. As much food was also jada. But every time when a layer is compared, it's not only compared with the previous layer, it is more compared with the next layer as well. So both ways it is done actually. That's the reason the differentiation has to be made for mind to understand. So sitting in this contemplation, we threw away gross body by saying, okay, all these earthen things which got into me, which is making up my body, is not me, fine. And all this air that is also sustaining me is not me, fine. What next? Manomaya. That which can understand the air going in and coming out, that which can understand this is tasty, this is not tasty, this is filter coffee, this is green tea. In some context I was saying this. So the way this mind can make change, oh fine, this is preferable, this is not preferable. So this is Manomaya, and more often than not it is presented as Dukkhatmaka, because as we have this pravritti where we want to get things, either situations or things or people, you have this simultaneous worry of not losing that. So as we get it, we don't just stick with that happiness. immediately the mind will also say, "Abhi chala gaya to kya karenge?" So that immediately it will say, and it will keep balancing, its own status all the time. It will never allow it to be in ecstasy. It always happens with mind. So that mind's facet was presented as a limitation, so it can never be Pratyegatma. So that mind, which is subject to these emotions, leave it out. Then coming to this Vijnanamaya. Now it is getting trickier because Vijnanamaya and mind, these are very close, which is also available, which is the one who is inquiring as well, if you see. The one who is inquiring is that Jiva who is formed of basically Anandamaya, but Anandamaya is not pronounced. So Vijnanamaya is at least little bit more pronounced. Who's doing this inquiry? He is the Karta Bhava. This person is doing the inquiry. Now you have to come to Vijnanamaya, which also objectifies mind's limitations. So if you have to objectify mind's limitations, you need another level that has to objectify it. That is Vijnanamaya. So Vijnanamaya is that which is Buddhi. Buddhi has this idea of what is right and wrong, what is going wrong with the mind. See, there is one person inside who says this mind is wrong. Let us even forget that it is ultimate, Brahman. Even Buddhi stands apart by having the benchmarks with it. I am not supposed to take sugar as per prescription given by doctor. But mind will say, "Mujhe to chahiye." It is mango season, I want to have mango. In fact, a mango milkshake with added sugar in it. This is mind. Buddhi knows. Buddhi will always have the picture of that prohibitive prescription from, it's very nice, it's a doctor prescription, but actually it has a prohibition. Don't eat sweet, especially mango milkshake. No, clear no in bold capital letters. That is the prescription, and the prescription is a prohibition. And mind says, "Ye to nahi chalega, hame to chahiye." Vijnanamaya says, "No boss, all the way we spend money, at least so much of consultancy fee and also medicines, and these things are not going to work when you freak out like this actually, so don't do." Mind will say, "No, I still want it." So this conflict is always there. Since this conflict is there, and since Vijnanamaya always stands with the prescription, Vijnanamaya is an entity to be reckoned. This is how it is reckoned. The one who brings in this particular idea that no, this is the right thing to be done, is that Vijnanamaya. You can take that as the subtle idea. And this person knows that mind is crazy. So he is able to objectify, mind is crazy. It doesn't listen. Though that mind was the very sufferer as well because of that ailment. And that mind only went for treatment. And after getting the prescription, where it has a prohibition, it doesn't want to follow. This is the beauty. And Vijnanamaya knows this. And this is what you can see as Vijnanamaya. And as that Vijnanamaya, you can throw out mind as well, because mind doesn't understand. It just goes by its whims and fancies. So throw that mind as well. Definitely, it is even less matured than Vijnanamaya Kosha, which itself is a Kosha. Forget even that, it can be compared with Atma. It is even lesser valuer, lesser, of lesser strength and maturity compared to Vijnanamaya itself. So Vijnanamaya, being Vijnanamaya, can throw all these three koshas outside. Definitely these are rubbish, and this Pratyagatma can never be any of these things, because I myself find these things are rubbish. So you stand at Vijnanamaya, because we have come to Vijnanamaya as of now. So this is a trick I thought I should just tell you. In this way, just sitting, contemplating, you can throw out Annamaya, Pranamaya and Manomaya very clearly. So the one who is throwing is a Karta, throwing all the other three. Now the Karta has to be dealt with, because there are 5 sheets. You have to go beyond this 4th one also. 5th one is also yet to come. That will be presented in the next session. So that also is going to come. Now it will be even more tricky. So being at the level of Vijnanamaya, objectify the other 3, throw them away. Now when it comes to Vijnanamaya, understand one thing, that Vijnanamaya, which has got its power of cognition, which has got its power of saying that this is right and this is wrong, is a borrowed entity, and that entity is total. It is not Apurna, it is total. So that sense has to come somewhere later. That Aikya part will be even more gross and even more pronounced and even more clear actually later. But now we should still have that idea that Vijnanamaya is that Pratyekatma only. The only thing is that this entire buddhi with this brain or whatever you can call it is reflecting, it is creating an illusion that this is something different, which is where the problem is, and one has to come out of that idea, that's all. So as of now we can stand with Vijnanamaya, throwing out all the three, and at the level of Vijnanamaya understand oneself that this is basically the borrowed consciousness, and it is wrongly identifying itself with this. Like the case of Dharmaraja, whom I said, where I said this example, he had his own responsibility of being the king, and he got into this game of dice, and then he was taking in such a way that he got somewhere irresponsible, or he gave in into that particular game, and that's where mind starts working and buddhi stops working. So he came with a different status, he went out with a different status completely, where the karta, the real Vijnanamaya, was not working at all. So that part has to be very clearly understood. Now you have to go to the next level, where basically it is that consciousness which has come in the form of Vijnanamaya. Having become Vijnanamaya, it completely forgets its original status and starts thinking that this boundary of skin is me. Anything outside this is outside me. So that sense it is building. So this has this limitation drawn out by itself, forgetting its original self. This is pointed out as the limitation of this karta bhava, aham bhava is pointed out as the limitation of this Vijnanamaya. With that idea, we have to understand this karta who's basically examining has to say that no, I am examining this is fine, but I am being pointed out that I am also a person who's committing a mistake, so I have to really understand where I stand. So this is where we are today when we have come up to Vijnanamaya. So the next step will be even more trickier, because now Anandamaya is not consciously available actually. At least in Vijnanamaya, you can do this kind of meditation, sit and objectify all the other three, almost other three easily, up to Manomaya, throw it away cognitively, and Vijnanamaya being this inquirer, difficult to throw out, but still you can try. Now throwing out Vijnanamaya, what will you do next actually? That becomes a little trickier. But anyway, Shastra is there to guide us. We will see the subsequent things in the next session. Now I will open up the forum for questions. Sorry that these things, these concepts are so subtle. I would definitely want to give the explanation of these concepts so that it helps. Basically, this is the help. This explanation is the help actually. Otherwise, it's already available in the book. So the way I feel people can be benefited is only by internalizing this way and explaining it this way, so that they connect. And from there, the doubts, can come out and much more clarity can be brought in. This is the reason you find a monologue. I think as we go further, monologue is happening, which I am also seeing actually. But anyway, that's going to be the model. If you see, at least last 10 minutes, I don't want to miss out on questions.
So, Bhaskar Shikha here.
Yes, please.
So, if we are talking of a very higher level, but when we talk of physical world, we are told that listen to your heart. So, are we saying heart is mind and the manomay kosh, and the intellect, buddhi, is the Vijnanmay kosh? So, there is buddhi is which knows what is right, what is wrong. And when we say antaratma ki avaz, that is what, as you said, I could relate to that all of us know what is right, what is wrong. Whenever we are going to commit something wrong also, there is that 0.1% which stops us. It says we hesitate, but we still go ahead because of, say, whatever compulsions we have.
Correct.
So all of us know the right and wrong. And then in the physical world, if I'm just trying to draw a parallel, we say, listen to your mind, listen to your heart.
Yeah. You are right.
Right.
Yes.
There are times when we go wrong when we listen to our heart and don't listen to the logical brain, that when it is telling us that, this is not the right thing to do, or maybe this is not the right path to take. So there is this paradox that I'm seeing, that in this physical world today, all the motivational speakers and everybody is saying, listen to your heart, listen to your heart. So what does that mean?
Okay, see, sometimes the terminologies can be interchangeably used by other systems. A freelancer who is using the word heart is not committed to Vedanta. So a person in Vedanta will never use the word heart in that sense the way it is used. Because if a person is delivering Vedanta, he has to stick to the terminology used in Vedanta. So the parallel of manas, basically they are using as heart actually. Basically, in as far as our system is concerned, manas is heart. That's what Hridaya is manas actually. That's how it is presented in Vedas. Okay, so you can say, we can forget the terminology of heart. We can only say mind and intellect. So that heart, we can just leave it. When that person is saying listen to your heart, basically he's saying buddhi, not manas. He's saying buddhi. Manas is the one which just wants to go and accomplish what it wants. Simple. I want chocolate now, I want it. Simple as this. I may be dissatisfied by not having it, but I will still want it. Buddhi is the one which will say, no boss, now there is curfew, I cannot or you cannot go out and buy. Stay put. And you can't even order on Blinkit because that guy is also stuck by the same curfew. No. Buddhi will say all these things. Mind will say, nahi mujhe to chahiye. So now it will do everything. It will search everything within the house or neighbor's house, steal, do, beg, borrow, everything. That is what mind is actually. So that person, if he is said, listen to your heart, in Vedanta terminology, what we are learning now, that is Vijnanamaya. That is intellect. So we have body, we have mind, we have intellect. So we are talking about intellect. Don't go by mind, go by intellect. That's what he is saying. So if you have to compare with the terminology, what we are using here.
Okay. Thank you.
So intellect is the one which has the entire library of values. You can call it Bible, you can call it whatever name, any holy book is in that intellect. I will tell you one Subhashitani, very, very favorite Subhashitani actually. Pustakeshu cha ya vidya, parahasteshu cha tad dhanam, utpanneshu cha karyeshu, na sa vidya na tad dhanam. So that knowledge which is in the books alone and money which is in others' pocket alone, it is of no use when you have a necessity. So if buddhi has all this jnana, it takes all this and buddhi mein sab kuch hai, ye karna chahiye, wo karna chahiye, ye nahi karna chahiye, wo nahi karna chahiye. But when it comes to following the prescription, mind just keeps the buddhi away and say, no boss, mujhe to waise mango shake to peena hi hai. So if that is the attitude, it is of no use. So that's where I think the Subhashitani is so useful actually, that knowledge in books is of no use unless internalized and acted upon. So buddhi has this amazing benchmark. And that's why that speaker is saying that no, go and consult buddhi. Buddhi has the right things and it's a faculty given within us. We don't even need to go outside actually. It is just within us. Use that faculty. So it is only a use of different word, Shikhaji. That heart, when he says heart, it is basically this intellect he is referring to.
Okay.
Yeah. That Subhashitani is so nice, no? Pustakeshu chaya vidya, the knowledge which is in books. Parahasteshu chadadhanam, दूसरों के हाथ में जो पैसा है. Utpanneshu cha karyeshu, when need arises, na sa vidya, na tadhanam. None of these will come handy. You should have it, only then it will help you. So nice, simple Subhashitani it is. Any other question? If there is no question, I'll be happy, but I'll be surprised also. Because it is getting trickier and trickier. Yes, Ashish? Ashish, go ahead. You want to ask something?
Yes. So you said this knowledge is already with us, but sometimes, or what is right, what is wrong, we know well in advance. But sometimes situations comes where both the options looks correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will give you an example. In one of our classes, MBA classes, professor asked one simple question. There is one train going in that 5 people are onboarded. And the railway line is broken after 1 kilometer. And and you have a decision making that whether you will divert that train to the other track line which is up and running. But if you divert to that track line, there is one person who does not know that okay, the train will come and he will die. So now you are in a situation whether you will risk 5 person's life or 1 person's life. So sometimes this decision making, you said we know that okay, what is right, what is wrong, but this decision making makes us very you can say
Okay. No, what you are saying is that, okay, so you are taking literally that intellect is that which has a program and solution for every given situation. So that is not how intellect is presented as. So there may be tricky situations and events where you may have to answer certain things. For example, in a couple, if I say wife, then it may be taken wrongly. So amongst a couple, there may be some tricky questions when you may not be able to answer. So there may be such situations also. So it doesn't mean that, buddhi is not there. Buddhi, even if it is there, it cannot answer also. That is also there actually. So one way to look at this is that the ultimate knowledge is only that Brahman. And to justify that it is ultimate, there has to be a limitation in mind and intellect. The intellect also will have to suffer that limitation because it is not that ultimate. It is still suffering because of its limitation, sense of being limited. So that's the reason it should still have that limitation. So it can never be that ultimate. This is one answer. Second way of answering is, in Vedanta, everything is Maya. Whether it is a broken track or the good track, both are Maya. Or the train or those people, all this is Maya only. In Maya, in a game, for example, you have this game where you hit, what kind of game you can say? There are so many games, where you have to hit some kind of characters which is coming in. The number of cases you hit, you will get so many points, for example. This is a game. It is just happening. You hit, you score, whatever. At the end of the game, when you switch off that stuff, have you really hit any of these characters? Have you killed? Do you incur papa because of that?
No.
Basically, Vedanta presents all this as a time pass later. So it says that, there is no great deal whether it is 1% or 3% there actually, because all these were characters like that which you were playing with. And they didn't have any substantial existence. So when something doesn't have any substantial existence, where is the question of ultimate reality? Ultimate reality is nothing exists other than oneself. That is ultimate reality. So you want an ultimate answer. So ultimate answer can be only for an ultimate question. That's the reason you will not get an answer for this. I think somewhere in this Matrix or some movie, one of this movie, I think someone was saying, there was one gentleman who was saying, I want an ultimate answer. I think he was telling this to a robot. That bot or whatever it is, which was supposed to give all, it was supposed to be all knowing. And this guy said, give me the ultimate answer, okay, without asking a question. He said, give me an ultimate, can you give me an ultimate answer, was the question. So it said, some name which doesn't make any sense, or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something it was saying. Then he was asking, how come this is ultimate? So it said that for you to get an ultimate answer, you should ask an ultimate question. So that's where, who am I is an ultimate question. Or who is this creator is an ultimate question. Or what is this Jagat? Who created Jagat is an ultimate question. So if these questions are asked, you will get the right answer and you will reach to that ultimate. And railway track is a very relative question. Hope I answered, Ashish.
Yes, got it.
Okay, I see it's already 7:31. People may be wanting to have the second coffee perhaps. So if there are no more questions, we can chant the concluding mantra. Now you know the value of Purnamadah Purnamidam. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Have a nice day, all of you.
Hari Om. Hari Om.